let's get down to business. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream.
Yes!
Fuck yeah!
We're doing Umineko. It's been a hot Texan minute.
Hey!
The Orange got some violence today.
He chose violence weeks ago.
School's been
Maybe last week.
Work's been a little bit of a frustrating mess, but that's okay because we're doing this shit now. Alrighty,
It's just filling out a bazillion tables for the wiki articles.
Okay then. Here, let's go ahead and just go ahead and go ahead and go ahead and go ahead and you read it and you read it and you read it.
Stop.
Did you have a stroke?
And you read, Jeffrey. And you read, Jeffrey.
Oh god.
This may take several minutes.
Well, while these game files are being verified, today's sponsors for Umineko no Naku Koroni are 1. Bed Bath & Beyond, and 2. Bicycle Poker Playing Cards.
Nice. Okay.
What was that second one?
Bicycle Poker Playing Cards.
Bicycle poker playing cards?
Yes,
it's like
that's right.
the playing
Bicycle
cards.
poker
The company is called
That's the
Bicycle
brand.
Cards, yes.
The main one that casinos use.
Alrighty
So
then.
when you get a pack of cards, they're made by Bicycle.
Now then. It's time to start the music. It's time to light the lights. It's time to read Umineko and see who's gonna die tonight.
Oh,
Sure.
wow. You got me just on the spot. It wasn't that bad.
Oh, those!
What?
Those.
What are those? That? Did I do it right?
No.
Close enough.
I have to get into the live stream.
Noir, you have the floor.
Sorry.
You know, it's not unthinkable.
It is unbreakable.
True.
though.
It isn't unthinkable. The servants are the most suspicious.
It isn't as though we have any physical evidence. We can't tie them up and throw them in the closet. So we need to make sure that they're always within sight of with those guns, and that we keep an eye on them all the time.
Anarchy, we should also gather the master keys. Only the servants could have created those closed rooms. They must have done something with the chain locks using some tool or arrangement that only the servants know about. They have all served us for a long time. I can hardly imagine that they would commit murder.
Kinto-san's life is nearly over, but the inheritance problem is still very shaky. And on that story about 10 tons of gold being hidden somewhere, a possible payoff like that might be enough to convince certain people to commit a crime.
I don't want to think about it, but there's also a chance that the old bastard is running some bizarre occult ceremony. The servants are the one wing of his pawns, and they might have been the ones to carry out the murders. How about Dad, anyway? Have we been able to contact him yet? No. The extension line isn't working either. The culprits may have broken it. And Father does sometimes leave the receiver off the hook when he's in a bad mood. When I knocked, I only received a grumpy reply. We couldn't contact him, but that study is well protected. It's probably safer there, so it might be best to have him stay there.
Flustered, Kraus tried to explain away Kinzo's silence. Battler, the game master, hadn't made Kinzo's death a major theme for this game, so the conversation didn't progress any further at this point. They stopped talking about Kinzo without Rudolph thinking anything was particularly suspicious.
Anyway, we can't let the servants go unsupervised. I've already talked with Hideyoshi-san about this, but we've decided to split everyone into 2 rooms on the 2nd floor and hole up in there. Why 2 rooms? Wouldn't 1 room be more secure?
Well, if you try to stick 12 people in one room, they'd suffocate. It also be best to isolate the people we need to keep the closest eye on. There's Genji-san, the head of the servants, Goda-san, the largest one there, and though he's just a kid, Kennen-san is a boy.
I think we need to pay those 3 special attention, Aniki. This way we can isolate that group and you can keep a close eye on them. With 2 guns, the pair of us could cooperate on a moment's notice. If they make even a single move, boom! I understand. Let's do that. But Rudolph, we cannot be certain that they are the culprits. Don't be too pushy. You're telling me not to be pushy. We must be getting old.
Right now, Hideyoshi-san is upstairs, dividing everyone into the 2 rooms. We'll gather the ones being isolated in the cousin's room, the others will go into the next room over.
Alright, Aniki, what about Jessica-chan? She insists on being in the same room as you. Jessica.
You're planning to have 5 people in the cousin room and 7 in the next room over. Jessica-san wants to go into the cousin's room, I'll split clean down the middle. If this is a wolves and sheep puzzle, there are now 3 servant wolves and you 2 sheep in that room. If you add in Jessica-san, it'll be balanced out.
For a while, Kraus crossed his arms in thought. The cousin room would surely be more dangerous, so he wanted his daughter to go into the next room over. However, in an emergency like this, he wanted to have his daughter where he could see her.
Let's let her stay with us. We might need her there to make sure we remain good dads and uncles. Yes. At the moment, even I'm only trying to act in a rational manner. But I can't guarantee that my sadness at losing my wife won't change to anger.
Even without any physical evidence, the servants are certainly the most suspicious. During the long wait, the 2 men's weariness and anger and sadness might make them lose their reason and act out in anger. After thinking deeply, Kraus decided to accept Jessica's request, in part to prevent such a thing from happening.
I think it's a good idea. I approve as well.
I agree. It's enough that only Rosa and I lose children. Rudolph.
In this way, all the survivors except Kinzo split into 2 groups and holed up in 2 rooms in the guest house's 2nd floor. One group is in the cousin's room. Kraus, Rudolph, Jessica, Genji, Kennen, and Goda. 6 people. One group is in the next room over. Hideyoshi, George, Shannon, Kumasawa, Nanjo, and Erika. 6 people here, too. Perhaps as a result of the killer's doing, the external phone line had been cut off, and they would have to wait for the ferry boat coming the next day before they could contact the police. However, the weather report said that the typhoon would make the ocean rough all the next day. When such a thing happens, the ferry boat takes the day off. So it would probably be 2 days before the boat came. In other words, they would need to spend a full 2 nights holed up in here. While Erica and the others held their planning meetings in the lounge, food and blankets had been brought in to prepare for the siege. The sudden tragedy had everyone on edge, but it was already well after 2 in the morning. If they really suspected the servants, then the observers couldn't afford to fall asleep at the same time. Either Kraus or Rudolph should probably take a nap right away. Not bad. Even with the detective's authority, you've managed to take control pretty cleverly.
A man who's lost his cool isn't different from an emotional dog. If you treat them properly, it's easy to control them.
One of the benefits of the detective's authority was being able to take charge of the situation. Because of this, Erica, who was both a guest and a young girl, had been able to order a large number of adults around at will. However, she didn't have that power this time. So Erica had taken charge by making good use of her natural conversation skills and techniques for controlling men. The detective's authority is the same as magic. You can't do anything that's impossible for you. So I guess Erica was only acknowledged as such because she already has that much power.
Magic is not something that is given to lazy or powerless humans.
Right. On the contrary, people who can handle their great efforts are the ones we call witches. Who can hide their great efforts are the ones we call witches. Man. The absolute nature of the detective's authority can affect even magic. However, that convenient power probably hadn't been given to Erica easily. I probably have to acknowledge it. Even if she isn't given a special power by the witches with which she serves, she's capable of quite a lot on her own. But Erica, why just put them into 2 rooms? I figured you'd try to gather everyone in one room.
I would have if I had the detective's authority. This is a move to preserve my right to investigate at will.
Ah, is that it? I see. Not bad. Since Erica was being protected as a guest, it was hard for her to move about freely. In truth, she wanted to take some time and investigate the victim at the crime scene and the crime scenes at her leisure, without being interrupted by anyone. She already had inspected the scenes once, in a huge rush, as she ran through the mansion that probably hadn't been perfect. However, they wouldn't have let a guest into the crime scenes, so she'd have no other option, no other choice back then. She wanted some time to herself and freedom to investigate more, in part so that she could check the closed rooms and cause of death more closely.
How is that related to splitting everyone into 2 rooms?
Because she'll be able to trick them with it. Watch.
Yes. That's the one reason I split them into 2 rooms.
The cousin room was filled with a quiet tension. This room had 6 people. Kraus, Jessica, and Rudolph. And then the most suspicious ones, the male servants, Genji, Cannon, and Goda, who had been forced to hole up in here. Jessica leaned against Kraus's shoulder, wrapped up in a blanket. She was drowsy, but apparently couldn't get to sleep. It was no surprise. In this bizarre situation, it would probably take some time before she could accept her mother's death. Ken thought this was the sort of time he should stay by Jessica's side. But that looked like it would be hard to do in front of Rudolph's intimidating glare. Rudolph stayed completely silent, but his inner emotions showed clearly in his eyes. So, Genji, Cannon, and Goda didn't have to realize that they were suspected. Sometimes Goda asked to help in an attempt to get on their good side and correct this misunderstanding, but it seemed to be having the opposite effect. The best option available to him was to stay quiet so that he didn't aggravate Rudolph, and sit still at the end of the sofa. In the next room over, there were also 6 people. Erika, Hideyoshi, George, Shannon, Nanjo, and Kumasawa. The format of the room and the constructed atmosphere were the same as the cousin's room. But even so, it was relatively calm there. George sat holding Shannon, who was darkly hanging her head the whole time. Kumasawa and Nanjo sat nervously as they listened to Hideyoshi explain the situation. Hideyoshi.
Bone's not in it. Bone is not currently in here, so I guess I'll be taking the role.
Oh.
Well, we don't know how many enemies there are. However, we have guns with us. And of course, I've shot guns before. I'm not talking about the Hawaii shooting center here. It's been long enough that I can confess, but I definitely fired off one of them Occupying Force pistols. You see, back then, the black market was controlled by foreign gangsters.
Probably want to make everyone feel secure by convincing him that he could be relied upon. Hideyoshi went into one of his old stories that everyone had heard many times, and which had gotten more extravagant each time they'd heard it. It didn't make them any more confident in Hideyoshi's abilities, but it did seem to calm things down a little by bringing in a sense of normality.
Jelly.
Man, I just missed them.
You caught me right as I was eating chips. Hang on. Why has a crime like this happened? I hope the boat comes tomorrow.
That seems unlikely. It looks as though we'll be staying here for 2 nights. Give me a second, let me pop this out onto my other monitor, my bigger monitor. Now it's a good time to get some sleep.
My nerves aren't dull enough to let me sleep soundly in a situation like this.
George-sama.
The pain and anger of keyboard typing, of losing his mother quietly, tormented George. Jelly, please, dude.
Please.
Sleepiness probably wouldn't be coming to him for a while. Erika suddenly clapped her hands as though she just remembered something, and whispered in Hideyoshi's ear, interrupting the old story which he had grown quite engrossed with. Sorry, I'm going to the cousin's room for a second. There's one little thing I wanted you to check on with the servants over there.
Hey, use the phone. You just need to dial the room number.
Oh? Have you forgotten? Seems the culprit has broken the phones.
Wait, you don't mean... You found some kind of contradiction in their testimonies?
Up until this point, Erika had spent a lot of time giving the impression that she behaved like a detective. So Hideyoshi immediately assumed that this was something vital to do with the crime.
It'll be easy to check. There might be a huge lead. I'll be back before long. Please don't let anyone leave this room.
Even though it's the next room over. It's too dangerous to go alone. Here, Erika, take this gun. That is the worst decision. You sure seem like you don't want to take someone with you. Blah, blah, blah. Jesus Christ. You sure you don't want to take someone with you?
We can't trust the servants or Nanjo-san completely. You're in charge of this room. George-san is needed to support you. There's no one left. Don't worry, the detective never gets attacked.
Eric had already worked hard to look like a sharp, clear-headed person. Hideyoshi relaxed and agreed, thinking that it was just the next door, and wouldn't be a problem.
After an hour, no. Better not wander around too much. I'll stay over there until morning. It'll be better if I wait until it gets light before I come back.
Good thinking. You be careful now.
Just a little trip to the next room over. Take good care of this room. Please don't let anyone go outside. We've already brought everything we need up here, so there's no reason for anyone to leave.
Food, drinks, blankets, medicine, towels, tissue paper, everything. The woman also had their cosmetic pouches. They could last 48 hours without lacking for anything.
I know. We aren't just here to protect ourselves. We're also on the lookout for the culprit if he's among us. I understand.
Good talk. Goodbye then.
Where are you going, Erika-chan? We promised that no one would go outside.
Oh, water. Oh, Erika-chan remembered something important she had to do. She's going in the next room over. Don't worry, she'll be fine.
Hideyoshi suspected that Shannon might be one of the culprits. Since he also knew that Shannon and George had a special relationship, he apparently thought it would be prudent to mislead George about Erica's actions and motives. Hideyoshi slowly opened the door and checked both ways down the corridor, his gun raised.
It's okay. No one's here. No one's there.
That's far enough. For all we know, Shannon-san might take George-san hostage as soon as you leave the room, right? It's careless even just showing your back to them, as you're doing now.
You're right. Then be careful. Tell me about it later.
Sure. Bye then.
Erika closed the door and pushing Hideyoshi back inside. She then waited for the sound of the lock on the inside, and her smiling eyes opened wide. Her expression had become ruthless and intelligent. In this way, Erika was able to gain several hours, during which all the suspects were sealed up and she alone was free.
Finally! I can investigate to my heart's content. But first, shoot me a battle!
Don't use my full name.
I'll make you the location of all characters present. Repeat it!
Of course. I'm not obligated to respond, remember?
If you don't, I'll just say that someone sneaked out while I wasn't looking, and that this person was responsible for the bizarre crimes that are sure to follow. Want to show me an impossible murder, you should first confirm their locations.
Sure, why not? I'll listen, at least. Let me hear it.
From now on, instead of repeating the barricaded room next to the cousin's room, let's just say the next room over. Does that work for you?
Sounds simple enough. Got it. And...
when I check everyone's locations as I'm about to, I am not concerned with whether they're alive or dead. Think of this as the location of their body. And of course I'm referring to the current point in time. Here we go. The 6 first Twilight victims are located at the places where they were discovered. Natsumi is in her room, Ava's in the VIP room, Kiri is in Krause's study, Rosa and Maria are in the parlor, and you are in the guest room. Don't tell me you're already going to refuse.
don't worry. I acknowledge it. First off, it was acknowledged that the victims' locations were the same as the rooms that had been shown by the Witch's Side illusion.
Good. I'll continue. Hideyoshi, George, Shannon, Kumasawa, and Nanjo are in the next room over.
Acknowledged. That the humans in the room Erica just left had been specified. Carefully checking even obvious things like that were the most basic part of playing on the human side.
Good. I'll continue. Everyone else is in the cousin's room.
The word everyone drew a slight reaction from Battler. The intuition he'd built up from all of his previous games told him not to answer this one instantly. I refuse. Acknowledging that would mean that Kinzo's corpse would also have to be in the cousin's room.
Ah, pardon me. It has already been shown that Kinzo no longer exists. So please remove him from the word everyone.
Why are you using the word everyone for the cousin's room alone? Why are you so vague? We could just mention the names of Kraus and the other 5 individually.
It'd just be too much of a pain to read all of their names. Or is there something wrong? Using the word everyone create a problem with with some trick of yours.
If Battler had been told to repeat Kraus, Rudolph, Jessica, Genji, Goda, and Cannon are in the cousin's room, he'd probably have acknowledged it with the red without thinking too much about it. Of course, normally, Eric would have mentioned the names of everyone inside and had him repeat it precisely. Battler had paused, feeling some kind of unease because of that unexpected demand at the word everyone.
Excluding Kinzo and me, there are 17 people on this island. 6 were killed and are lying in the mansion, and 5 are in the next room over. And the remaining 6 are in the cousin's room. That's a reasonable assumption to make, right? However, there are 17 people on the island, so if we subtract 6, then 5, and 6 again, we're left with 0 humans whose locations have not been checked. But that sort of assumption would be extremely dangerous. I'm pretty sure that this sort of trick involving names and numbers of people caused you a lot of trouble with Nanjo's murder in the 3rd game.
Good point. That trick worked because the 18 names given didn't match up with the 18 people who actually existed, leaving room to add in an unknown person.
Exactly. And so I can't feel secure just by checking their locations by name. That's why I use the word everyone. That word can prevent you from using a new trick that I haven't even thought of.
I see. Pretty crafty of you. If Bradley was playing a new trick, where the names and number of people would be used to create false alibis, like the murder of Nanjo in the 3rd game, even naming off all 17 people and checking their position left a trace of uncertainty behind. And if he cleverly managed to slip somebody past the names and numbers of people...
For example, let's say that an unknown assassin X is hiding on this island. Let's call him Puru Puru Pico Man.
I get it.
I see. Even if you list everyone's names and check their locations, this Puru Puru Pico Man guy would fall outside the net.
Precisely. Even hearing that there are only 17 people on this island, and here the location of 17 people, is insufficient. There's already a precedent for this.
However, the word everyone is just too broad. Can't you word it a little better?
No. If we run away from the word everyone here, there's a chance that Erica will use that as a basis for making Puru Puru Pico Man the culprit for everything. In my old fighting with you, I also nailed several riddles with no basis other than an unknown person X. An 18th unknown person X.
The word everyone is significant. Make sure you think very carefully first.
Erica wore a full but evil smile, confident that she had made a powerful move. Players on the Witch's side must eradicate all possibilities that would be possible for humans.
If I don't crush any chance for this ridiculously
named Puru Puru Pico Man right now, he'd be used to explain everything the Witch does. That was a move I liked to use in my old game with Beato. Back at the very beginning of the fight, my counterattacks were all based on the unknown 19th person X. Because of that, Beato had restricted the number of people on the island, making it necessary to eliminate any unknown person hiding somewhere. In that case, this time is the same. So just like Beato did, I need to get rid of any leeway in which that X can exist. The number of people on the island has already been announced, since she's suspecting tricks involving names and numbers of people. Saying the same thing again won't satisfy her. In that case, I have no choice but to respond to her demand and use the word everyone. The wood has a disturbing ring to it. And though I haven't figured it out yet, it feels like there's some kind of demonic killer move hidden within it. Damn. After insulting Beato so much and saying that the witch side had a huge advantage, I'm getting this pressure just having to deal with a single line to repeat.
Deflection, right?
You mean the Chester?
Yes. It's a technique of putting pressure on an enemy piece, forcing it to move and make them weak in their own position.
I'm threatening you with the broad and powerful piece called Everyone, pressuring you to move. With this, Rattlers will be able to perfectly guarantee alibis for all of the survivors. And he'll probably make it possible for him to trap me in the later impossible crimes. What exactly are you afraid of? Shouldn't this be a powerful move for you?
It's a move that you're pressuring me to make. Trying to make me weaken my own position in some way.
No matter how good a move seems, it's a bad move when it's what your opponent wants. However, it will be hard to avoid the word everyone here.
The red truth can cut the weak reasoning of the human side apart over and over. In the past, I've feared its ruthlessness. However, I also learned quickly that it could be used as the basis for counterattack. Yes. The red truth is a trump card. A treasured sword. Now I'm painfully aware of how Beato felt. It can kill with ease. But it's not something to be used unnecessarily. You carelessly will end up cornering the witch's side instead.
What will you do? We could put this on hold if you want.
No. Okay. I acknowledge it. I acknowledge that everyone else is in the cousin's room.
Good. Thank you very much, Bettler-san. Beautifully done. Oh, I'm in trouble. If a letter from a witch comes in this situation, just who could I suspect?
She said that she was in trouble, but her face didn't look troubled at all. On the contrary, she looked as though she had just succeeded in placing a huge opening move. In a witch's game, even a single mistake can be fatal. In both chess and shogi, you can't get a piece back once you've moved it. Last exchange had left a bad aftertaste, as though flesh had been torn and bones broken. That should be enough of confirming positions. Shall we continue the game?
Yes, we shall.
Delanor!
Yes, Lady Erica.
Let's get started right away. The privilege our merciful game master has given us.
Yes, understood. Gertrude, Cornelia. Use 2 rooms worth of 3 sets of seals we were given.
Let it be known that
We understand.
Seal the cousin's room and the next room over. With this, everyone's been sealed except for the victims. No matter what happens after this, the human within the seals won't be a problem.
Like the seals on the doors and windows, the complete sealing of both the cousin's room and the next room over has been guaranteed.
For just an instant, a red longsword had returned to Delanor's hand. He'd be given permission to draw it, thanks to the red truth that she'd finally gained. When the fight concerned these 2 sealed rooms from now on, Delanar would be able to use that merciless blade, the red key. This overwhelming power could slice even the game master in half. For a while, Erica and Delanar just grinned at each other, entranced by the ruthless red light that was burned into their eyes.
Senior Aide, allow me to ask a question.
what is it?
The person human side are to interrupt Interpret the question proposed by the witch as being the work of humans.
You are not mistaken.
If that is so, why are Lady Erica and Commander Lenore fighting to lower the number of humans who can commit crimes?
Cornelia's question was a very simple one. The two had made this move boldly, making it sound like it was a powerful one, almost though it would greatly damage the witch. However, if you thought about it, Erica was just strangling her own neck.
We still don't know what sort of crime will occur in the future. Would it not be more advantageous to the humans if there are more people whose locations are not specified?
Know that now is not yet the time for the lady or the commander to reveal their thoughts.
I apologize for my idle chatter.
Cornelia looked like she wasn't satisfied. In the previous game, when trying to help Kinzo escape from his study, Rather had desperately tried to break free from that closed room, using various methods. As a result, Kinzo had escaped into the darkness of the night, and it had later been possible to treat him like an elusive phantom. In other words, closed rooms were advantageous to witches and disadvantageous to humans. Witches proposed closed rooms and humans destroyed and denied them. That should have been the standard tactic of this game. And yet Erica had created closed rooms herself, filling a full 10 humans in them. 11, fuck. In other words, this is the same as abandoning the right to use those 11 people, with explaining all the later tricks. In the past, Bradley had confirmed the location of certain people, but that had been to check whether certain pieces existed with which he could break closed rooms. A completely different situation. Why had Erica taken these 11 people, who were also her pieces, and sealed them in a closed room? Cornelia hadn't experienced enough fights to understand this move, which looked as though they were trapping themselves.
A disturbing move. What on earth is Erica planning?
It isn't necessary to attack. It isn't necessarily an attack. In chess and shogi, strengthening the guard around your king is an excellent strategy.
In other words, the seals around those two rooms aren't an attack, but a guard?
That seems likely. Thanks to that, it's harder to lay a hand on the survivors. It'll be tough to carry out the second Twilight.
Ah, I see. The witch side has an advantage when more riddles are presented.
Yeah. After all, if even one riddle goes unsolved, the witch wins. Each new closed room we present increases our advantage. The riddles of the witch side sets up are equivalent to attacks. The human side must perfectly intercept all of those. It's almost like a penalty shootout, where letting a single point slip by means defeat. So the witch side wants to increase its number of attacks. The human side wants to lower the number of attacks. When Battler had fought on the human side, he hadn't thought of the survivors holding up in a room as being particularly useful. However, from the witch's side perspective, this strategy was simple, but effective. What made Beto incredible was how she bluffed and sneered at this tactic, as though it was completely useless. On the inside, she must have been so worried over how to break down all these barricades in each game. Right now, I'm sure that...
I see. So strengthening your guard to make it hard for a crime to occur is one way for the human side to fight.
However, that's a simple move. The great detective, Furuto Erica, wouldn't have looked so confident after playing a move like that. Would Erica be happy after playing a defensive move? Though this move looks as though she's restraining herself, it's also extremely unlikely that Erica was playing defensively. I'm sure that this is an attack, not a move made for defense. I don't know what kind of attack it is.
Next is our move. What shall we do?
For the moment, she has, at least apparently, spent her turn on strengthening her guard to stop the second Twilight, instead of reasoning about the first Twilight. If they push, pull back. If they pull back, push. If that's the case, it's time for us to attack.
But how should we attack? The guest house is well guarded.
Yeah, it appears as though the entire guest house is now under Erica's control. However, there are certain pieces, like bishops and knights, whose specialty is cutting behind enemy lines. Battler snapped his finger, and a single gold butterfly appeared from the darkness. Then flew in front of the chessboard, trailing gold sparks behind it. It landed without a sound, then transformed into a black piece representing the witch's darkness. X-ray. That's also a chess term.
Yes, it's a high-level technique. It's when a square seems to be under an enemy's control, but you've spotted that your own pieces actually have enough influence over it, so you attack.
Erica, if you really believe that you can stop my next attack by sealing up all the survivors, that's just naive. Battler raised his new black piece high. His target was a single open space deep behind enemy lines. How will you handle it? This is my response.
Now I can finally stretch my wings. It looks like a midnight stroll to the mansion.
You would take a stroll in the middle of the night to an eerie mansion where a killer might be hiding? You must be very insane.
Not at all. I worked so hard to get this time to myself, didn't I? It feels like free time after a swimming lesson.
But the Burncastle was nowhere in sight. Erica was regaining her high spirits. She wasn't exaggerating when she said that she was spreading her wings. Delaunor knew that she was risking her own destruction in this game. And she was not in a favorable position by any means. Delaunor could do nothing but assist Erica, so that she could fight to the best of her abilities. All right. The locks on the first floor of the guest house are perfect. The entrance is sealed up with a chain lock. Before leaving the guest house, Erica did a check of the first floor, making sure that nothing was out of place. Then she found a flashlight and umbrella in the servant room next to the entrance.
Then let's go.
Yeah. We just have to check the cause of death for all 6.
She unset the chain, unlocked the door, and opened it. The freezing outside air poured in.
It appears to be quite windy still.
Well, this body's just a cage of flesh to me. I don't care if it gets wet or cold. Let's go.
When Erica dropped her gaze to open her umbrella, she noticed something lying at her feet.
Huh?
It's one of the usual letters.
It's one of those letters sent by the witch, with the seal of the one-winged eagle on it. They've been wedged under the outside mat in front of the entrance. As the sun had predicted that Eric would eventually leave for the mansion by this way. It was in the shadows of the large eaves, so it avoided the rain entirely.
So it's here already. Almost as though it was waiting for me.
She bent over and picked it up. She then tore it open recklessly, and then pulled the letter inside out of it. A message had been written in neat letters.
Welcome, Furuto Erika-sama, it says. Oh, so it's calling me by name? They totally saw this coming.
What does it say?
It's an advance notice for a crime. No, I should say it's a report after the fact. But they've taken Oshimiya Battler's corpse. It's basically saying, please try looking for it.
So this isn't the tear apart two who are close of the second Twilight.
Well, disappearing corpses have been happened a few times in Beto's games too. There's nothing really new about this.
Erica shrugged and scorned the letter. However, this letter was a real attack. All the survivors were sealed in rooms on the second floor. And at the very end, after she had gone around with Kraus and the others to check the locks and doors and windows, Erica had personally confirmed that there was nothing at this spot. This is an attack saying someone who shouldn't be here placed the letter, and that this someone was a witch. This was also an attack that the old Beto would often use.
Sheesh. If the way you show is the same, please tell me that the actual trick is the same too. Delanour, please call Battler here.
Understood. Lord Battler, we wish to take our turn.
Got it. Let's have it.
Sorry. I actually don't have a move to declare.
Huh?
The truth is, there's something I need to apologize for.
Apologize? Battler and Beto's eyes went wide. However, though Erica said that she wanted to apologize, she had a confident look on her face, as though even that apology would be a new move. So Battler glared at her dubiously without letting his guard down.
It's about those retroactive seals. I actually already sealed one place. I apologize for taking so long to report this to you.
You already sealed something? In other words, you've already just used up all 3 rooms worth?
Yes. I promised that I reported out on it right away, but I completely forgot about it until just now. You have my sincere apologies.
You don't look like someone who's sincerely apologizing. Well, that's fine. I'm the one who gave you that privilege. So, what did you seal?
Delanour?
Allow me to report. Battler's guest room was sealed at the time of Lady Erica's inspection of the corpses.
Beta tried not to let it show on her face, but her eyebrows twitched visibly, and then her gaze flickered over to Battler.
Normally I would have liked to seal all the closed rooms, but I didn't have enough packing tape. Out of respect for the Game Master, I sealed only the room with Battler-san's corpse.
So, you were kind enough to close the lid on my coffin.
I remembered a short while ago. There's plenty to tell you when we reached the mansion and investigated the guest rooms with your corpse in it. However, when the letter appeared, I figured I should report right away.
Why did you think that?
Well, after all, Battler-san has been playing this game ignorant of the fact that his corpse was sealed in the guest room. Because of that, I thought, it might possibly change things regarding the appearance of this letter.
The cousin's room and the next room over are currently sealed. Sorry for the late report, but the guest room with your corpse in it is also sealed. And there are 17 people on the island, excluding Lady Erica. The existence of an 18th person has already been denied in a previous game.
In that case, if we're thinking about some person who could have placed this letter in the disappearance of your corpse, I thought maybe I thought this might change things around a little bit.
Erica laughed crudely while staring into Battler's eyes, to see if he was panicked or disturbed.
Battler-san.
Stay calm. Erica's just made her report a little late. No need to lose your cool. Erica had suspected it since the beginning. it's possible that Battler actually hadn't been killed and was still alive. And if he was alive, then the letter that had suddenly appeared was easy to explain, even though all the survivors were sealed up. Judging by Beato's faint agitation, maybe Erica's guess had been right on the mark. Battler played dead and somehow got around Erica's examination. And then, while everyone was barricading themselves in the guest house, he snuck out of the guest room. After that, he placed a letter detailing the disappearance of his own corpse in the entrance to the lobby, and hid himself. If that was the truth, then the seals that had been placed on Battler's guest room at the time of Erica's examination were now very significant. In other words, if this is the trick they'd used, then Battler would certainly have broken the seals when he left the guest room. The trick would not be workable without breaking the seals. Since the survivors were all sealed up inside the guest house, then if the seals in the guest room were broken, it meant acknowledging that at least one of the victims was actually alive. If Battler had known about the seals earlier, it was likely that he would have advanced the game in a different way to avoid this. In other words, it was very likely that an announcement about the seals would have had a large effect on the rest of Battler's game.
Erica was saying if Battler had avoided breaking the seals because he was pretending to be a corpse,
instead remained inside the guest room, perhaps this letter would not have appeared in the story. If Battler was actually alive and had placed a letter there, then now that Erica's seals had come into play, there was a chance that his trick would cause contradictions somewhere down the line. That sort of contradiction is called a logic error.
A logic error? I think we heard about that really early on in this story.
It's the violation of the rules, the greatest and worst form of error, which the witch's side must avoid making.
Yeah, I remember. It was something about the two sides of the tale not matching and creating a contradiction.
Do you remember the magic for making candy appear inside an overturned cup?
Yeah. Maria One-chan and Erica were fighting about that. Apparently that was just a simple trick where one slipped the candy into the cup while One-chan had her eyes closed.
That's right. Since Maria did not observe the process of the trick and was only given the result, she accepted the illusion of magic, that the candy had appeared by magic inside the cup and magic was established.
Okay, so a logic error would be a trick that has become impossible. If you think about it, Erica Maroon.
Oh, I think this is you, sorry.
Go ahead.
If you think about it, Erica Maria's fierce red and blue battle over this magic was the real opening of this tale's fight. Let's try to remember that exchange. The heartless truth was that it had all been a trick. Making the candy appear in the cup by magic had been nothing more than Beato's claim. Magic can only do things that one can accomplish. In other words, you can only have a magical result if it's something that could have been done without magic. Let's be clear. There are two general types of magic. If you summon giants and make towers grow from the ground. But when the lid is taken off, nothing has happened in a rose garden. That's one type of magic. That's just an illusion. It's a lie with no observers that takes place where the witch says it did. in a location without any of the anti-magic toxin. Magic that doesn't have to match a result is the most simple kind. A lie. This is the same as a worthless delusion, an illusion, a daydream. Even Battler saw through it partway through the third game. Then, there's another kind, which we might call true magic. Magic that matches a result. The cup trick is an example of magic that matches a result, since an observer actually checks to see if the cup's contents were empty before seeing candy appear there. And thus an actual observer of the incident is created. I've discovered one big rule in magic: matching has a result to follow, unlike the magic of illusions. The rule is that only the unobserved process of what you accomplish can be transformed into magic. I can speak even more generally and ruthlessly. In short, all forms of magic are tricks. Only things that can be accomplished without magic can have a matching result. Ironically, this also proves that magic doesn't actually exist. But out of respect for the witch's game, let's call it making the game solvable and fair for the human player. So, instead of the candy inside that cup, we now have this mysterious letter that appeared in front of Erica. They have to be tricks. By claiming that the witch sent the letter there by magic, Oni-chan is trying to create magic that matches the result.
Correct. Since all the survivors are sealed within the closed room of the guest house, it is possible to embellish the suddenly appearing letter and say it was a curious bit of magic, for only a witch could have placed it there. But even so, it still must be a possible trick in the end.
In order to see through the trick with the candy in the cup, Erica had countered with the blue truth, saying that the candy had been snuck in there while her eyes were closed. That was the correct answer, so Maria hadn't had any reg that she could...
Sorry, I was about to sneeze.
But what if she had used it? For example, what if Maria had used the red truth then to say, "Until I lifted the cup up, the closed room of the overturned cup remained intact." The red truth can only be used to refer to the truth, right? If you could lie with it, it'd be a massive violation of the rules.
Yes. Denying your own trick with the red truth is a major violation of the rules. However, if you instantly switch over to another trick that doesn't violate that red truth, it may be slightly unfair, but that red truth can be acknowledged.
So in this case, the witch side would need to immediately propose another trick that doesn't contradict the red truth, stating that the closed room inside the cup was preserved. Like the excuses of a politician when he keeps backtracking as new evidence is shown to him.
Yes. Well, for a red like this, she might be able to get away with some painful excuse. Maybe there was some device on the table, or maybe it was a trick cup with a fake bottom. But if those possibilities had been denied beforehand, this would not be valid. The more red truths there are, the harder it is to talk your way out.
In actuality, the candy had been put in the cup while Maria's eyes were closed. However, if, when Erica saw through that, Maria had used the red truth to say that the closed room in the cup had been preserved, the witch would have had to rush and revise the scenario to a new trick that still worked logically after that new red. Revising the scenario is an unfair move that would never be allowed in the mystery genre. However, the very act of revising the scenario that takes place inside the witch's head, which is an unobservable world. So if she claimed she'd been using the trick with the fake bottom cup from the beginning, no one could deny it. So, even if it really was a trick done while One-chan's eyes were closed, as long as the witch leaves herself a way out, she can even switch between truths and tricks. Rather than calling this an action available to witches, we should probably say that it's only usable by the Game Master, the one who creates and writes. But even so, the new truth must not contradict any of the previously stated red truths. If the red truth makes it so that the trick no longer makes any logical sense, then there will be a mismatch between the two sides of the story. The illusory result that the Game Master claims as magic, and the true result that was brought about by the trick. So when we get a contradiction and it no longer makes logical sense, we call it a logic error. And that would mean the destruction of the witch's game. This world is a game that's possible to explain with humans. In other words, it must be possible for all magic to have been done by tricks as well. If it's impossible to do with tricks, then the human side has no move and we get a stalemate.
No, not quite. That's where we get the fatal and horrible violation known as a logic error. When the witch side does this, the game is instantly destroyed and they suffer a fatal defeat.
Erica has probably seen through to Oni-chan's trick. Without the detective's authority, she couldn't perform a proper examination of the corpses. Because of that, he continued to play dead, snuck out of the guest room, and placed the letter at the entrance to the guest house.
However, because Battler was so overly gracious in giving out those retroactive seals, things went wrong.
Stupid Oni-chan.
The current situation still does not warrant panic. It still hasn't been specified with red truth that the seals around the guest room are intact. He is free to break the seals. If he doesn't, then he can probably have it so that someone other than Battler was alive and swap them in as the person who placed the letter.
That's right. It's not just Oni-chan. The other corpses haven't been specified as dead by the red yet. So far, there wouldn't be any problem if they were all faking.
True. This is far too soon for them to get flustered. All he has to do is change his move so that Erica's seals and the placement of the letter don't contradict each other.
And revising the plot without contradictions is one of the moves available to the Game Master.
However, taking a scenario one has imagined and revising it partway through can sometimes create flaws in the tale. It would be a very regrettable move to make when the first Twilight has only just ended. It would seem that Battler was one with an enemy piece moved deep behind his lines. And this hidden piece will probably cause him pain and discomfort with each step from now on, like a pebble caught in one's shoe. This single pebble might kill Battler.
This still isn't quite a logic error. In that we sealed the rumor retroactively, we are at fault for the lateness in reporting it. So I have no problem with letting Battler-san retroactively rewrite the plot concerning this letter.
Retroactively rewrite the plot?
I see. If I placed the letter there, then that would have become impossible as soon as I was sealed in that closed room. In which case the letter should have appeared here. Shouldn't have appeared here.
Correct. So I thought you should have the chance to revise this small inconsistency.
We just now discovered this letter here. We are saying that we do not mind if you want to undo that, or if you wanted to use a revised scenario.
Just by thinking of this letter and packing tape, this sort of move is possible for Furuto Erika. What do you think, everyone?
Damn. What a dirty move. Well, what else should I expect from Erika? I made a promise with Delanor, too. They both play all out and mercilessly. Yeah, it's true. I've been planning to make Battler actually alive. Then to have him slip out of the guest room, resulting in his disappearance and in placement of the letter. However, if I revise the story now that my move has been spotted, it'll be the same as admitting that it was spotted. Even though I have to be stubborn about it, I don't want to admit that I was seen through here. I don't want to acknowledge a pathetic plot change where I try to sneak out of the guest room and break the seals. I want to change over to a different trick, so the letter will be placed and my corpse hidden, while still preserving the seals in the guest room. It doesn't really have to be me who places that letter. I can revise the logic without contradictions.
But Battler-san, even if you can place the letter somehow, how are you going to make your corpse vanish afterwards? The guest room is sealed. If you don't find a trick to erase the corpse from the closed room right now, a logic error will occur.
Still have time. Let me think until the last second. Damn it. With a painful laugh, Bradley unconsciously scratched at his head. Anyway, we'll leave the letter like this. I can't say, oh, sorry about that. Having the guest room sealed makes a big contradiction. Let's revise my move. Acknowledge that you caught me. Acknowledging that you caught me. I feel like a ninja hiding above the ceiling. Even though I was noticed and stabbed by a spear, I just withstand the pain. Wipe the blood off the spear and act as though nothing happened. False courage works well enough. I can't let her know that this one hurt.
Battler-san.
Hey, Beato. What my face looks like right now? I'm sure it's the same expression you had when I managed to hit you where it hurts in the past. Oh, damn it. Either couldn't think of anything to say. Useless words of comfort would only get in the way of Battler's thinking now. What would the old you do? The old you, who created all those closed rooms that tormented me so much in the past. What kind of trick would she use to erase my corpse from a closed room? Bieto trembled and groaned. The older would have been an expert at closed room tricks. If only that memory, that power, could be revived, she'd be able to help Battler. There's still time to think. There's still time. Nice going, Erica. That was a dirty move.
What a bitch!
Man, that was a dirty move.
Dirty move, yeah.
She's a very dirty girl.
The kind you can't take home to mother.
Haha!
The entrance to this mansion was locked, but Erica had a master key, so she opened it without any trouble. She'd gotten crossed and the others to take the master keys from the servants. At that time, she'd used a little sleight of hand to pilfer one of them.
Well then, where shall we go first?
Why ask? Let's go and hear Battler-san's answer.
Grinning, Erica cut across the entrance hall and passed in front of the dining hall. Deeper and deeper. Sure for the guest room Battler had lain dead in. Battler could put off deciding whether the seals would remain whole or not until the moment right before Erica witnessed them. However, once she did witness them, the game master would have to show what had happened to them. In the witch's game, they were now. The simple act of going to check the seals around the guest room was an attack.
Are you ready, Lord Battler?
Yeah. Or as you'd say it, come. Step forward.
Good. Then show us your response. Well now, are the seals broken or are they not? Has the closed room been preserved, or hasn't it?
The piece Erica held high in the air was the White Queen which represented herself. Her target was Battler's camp. She attacked! Erica dashed in the hall with a sickening smile and clung to the guest room door like a spider. Then she closely examined the seals that she had placed retroactively.
Are you sure? You are sure about this, right? Battler's son?
Is this okay, Battler's son?
Yeah, I can't back down here. After all, even if I'm sealed in here, there are ways of placing the letter.
But now, Erica will probably enter the guest room. And then she will observe your corpse. What are you going to do? If the corpse is there, then there's no problem. The letter's prediction will be off, but it's not as though there's a penalty for that. But still, you intend to fight head on.
There are times when a man is challenged head on, that he has to respond, no matter who the opponent. I must not pull back here. I'll take that challenge. I can search for a way out all I want later. I managed to do that with Kinzo's study last time. Don't worry, I can do it. You do it! Come on, Erika!
We have confirmed that the seals to the guest room are undamaged. Since the time Lady Erica confirmed Battler's presence, this closed room has been preserved.
Good! I'm breaking the seals! Rip! Tear! Yeah.
Erica showed the packing tape seals on the door in ecstasy. Looks as though the intellectual rapist had finally let her true nature bare.
Okay, I am opening it. Let's have a look at Battler-san's naked scenario.
Like a ruffian pushing down a frail girl, Erica mercilessly and greedily threw the door open. Then, finally, the inside of Battler's guest room was observed by Erica. Battler had to show it. Was there a corpse, or wasn't there?
Come on, Battler!
Here's my response! Battler grabbed a black piece from the board and raised it high. That piece. She had no memories of the time that she had been an expert at this game. And yet, for some reason, she realized that this was a move that could not be taken back. Once this piece was moved, they couldn't move it back. Oh! The guest room was covered by a silent darkness. It was pitch black, and nothing could be seen. However, there was a light switch just off to the side of the entrance. If she flicked that, the room would be lit up. She would see whether or not there was a corpse in the bed.
Shall I turn them on?
No. Wait a second, please. Battler-san, I have a proposal.
Let's hear it.
Oh my god.
I think you already know. But this time around, I'm not aiming to find the culprit and achieve a standard victory. My enemy is not the lowly culprit killing it to pieces, but my opponent. You. Yourself.
I know. So, you're after a logic error. I'm seriously regretting that now. Even though you're just pretending to be miserable, I fell for it completely, and gave you a ridiculous ability.
That was your pride. It will cost you dearly.
Damn it.
So, what is your proposal?
With a firm voice, Beato urged her to continue. Just a second ago, she had remained behind Battler's back, a bit flustered. However, she was steady now. She saw that Battler had let his emotions take control of him, and had been lured into making a bad move, and realized that it was the time for her to stay cool and support him. Erica's proposal couldn't be anything good. On top of that, Erica was sly. She probably wouldn't make a proposal that would be easily rejected.
I will now turn on the light. The top of the bed will be lit up, and it will be decided whether or not Battler has disappeared as the letter predicted. If he's there, great! There's nothing strange at all. The letter's prediction would just be wrong. Of course, the argument would probably switch over to then who put the letter there? For the time being, the location of the fight would move outside the closed room.
And if he's missing?
Beato already knew. She knew that the move that Battler had made a second ago. Battler had already disappeared from this room. Therefore, they need to prepare a disappearing trick other than he was actually alive and left through the door. The situation is simple. First, this room is a closed room. Also, Battler's life or death status hasn't been confirmed. In other words, him being alive wouldn't cause any problems. They had to make Erica think that Battler had vanished from the situation. He just had to escape from the room. Or if that wasn't possible, he just had to hide somewhere and wait for her to leave, making her think that he disappeared.
Inside this tiny room, I will now begin our endgame, the chase after the king. It should end in just a few moves. You'll be able to construct the logic needed to let Battler escape from this room. And the tail be destroyed, game over.
Fighting to keep that from happening is our job. What is this proposal of yours?
An endgame fought over a logic error should be a bit more precise. Once again, we will fight with the red and blue truths. But we need a referee on the same level as the game master to observe and see that he doesn't create any logic errors with the red truth.
That seems reasonable.
There's nothing special about this. Back when the oldie was the game master, you were under the observation of your guardian, Lady Linda Delta. In that way, it was judged that all red truths were valid.
So you're telling us to show Lambda Delta our cards?
I've been watching since the beginning. It's okay, don't worry. I am impartial in my judgments.
Can you say that in red?
Yep. I swear that I am impartial in my judgments. I was plenty impartial in the last game, wasn't I?
Especially for interesting judgments where she doesn't care which way it falls. Accepted, Battler. Erica is going to corner you. Understand? She will duel with you and kill you in this room. If you're a man, accept the duel.
Sure. Fine. We won't get anywhere if you suspect every single impossible murder I show being a logic error. It's sure that we need an observer to guarantee that this game is legitimate.
Then I'll come around to your side. Let me take a look at your hand.
Jesus Christ.
Charlie, mute yourself. Lambda Delta understood what Battler had up his sleeve. And she saw that Erica's first move had indeed gone straight through his heart. Just as Erica had guessed. Battler was alive and had slipped out of the room after Erica had examined his corpse. Placed a letter by the guest house and hid himself somewhere. When the packing tape seals had been retroactively placed on the guest room, he would have had to have shown that they had been torn. However, if he had done that, it would be the same as admitting that he'd been seen through, and that he'd lost. Unwilling to admit that, Battler had claimed that the seals had been maintained with false courage, and was now rushing to revise his logic. True, he could still escape for a few more moves. However, Eric was planning to corner and kill him here.
Battler, you're fighting with some pretty incredible cards here.
Cards? Does this game of chess look like a card game to you?
To me, it looks like you're all playing a game of poker. So, by moving to this side and looking at the cards you hold, I understand everything. That's an awful move. It's a complete waste. And Eric has already seen right through you.
What would you do?
I'm the referee, I can't give you advice. But let me tell you my impressions.
No, that's okay.
It's chilling. You're trying to use this useless move, this baseless bluff, to make Erica back down. She's not gonna back down, that girl. After all, you're the one who should be throwing his chips in and folding now.
Thanks for the advice. Battler-san, I agree with her. Let's back down from the fight in this room. We don't have any winning cards.
Are you hoping to discard your cards and draw something more useful? I thought you were playing chess. In the world of chess, if you rely on your luck, you'll die.
By hoping to draw something useful, she meant relying on luck and betting that, even if he couldn't think of a trick now, he might think of a good plan for making a closed-room trick later on. If you enter into the fight without any tricks in mind, you get killed. And now is the time to back down. When Erica flipped that switch, he just had to be sleeping there on that bed. That's all he needs.
Lambda. I don't know what you're talking about, but you were chatting too much. A referee needs to be impartial.
True. Then, good luck, Battler. I'm hoping for a precise chess-like battle. You aren't playing poker, are you?
Are you ready, Battler-san?
Yeah, I am. Turn the lights on whenever you want.
For the rest of the fight in this room, the progression of time will be stopped. This way all the moves for both players will be made at the same time. And the first move will be treated no differently than the last move. Might be hard to understand, but this rule exists for the purpose of maintaining logic. And to keep your protected as well.
From here on out, you can use all the twisted logic you want to rebuild the trick in this room. In other words, it's possible that you might think of a good idea partway through the fight. Normally, it's unfair to revise your plot partway through. In order for that to be acceptable, you need a world stopped in time, where everything happens at once. And where logic that you think of afterwards can counter your opponent's earlier moves.
Of course, Eric can take advantage of this rule as well. If you revise your trick to be a new one, she can deal with that in a different way.
This is pretty complicated.
It's simple. Like a corrupt politician's war of twisted logic. You lie shamelessly. When evidence is shown revealing that lie, you retract those previous lies, and shamelessly say that you just remembered it wrong. To change it to a new lie that doesn't have any contradictions. The fight goes between a lie, then evidence exposing it, then another lie. Like a fight between two snakes spinning around trying to eat each other's tails.
Just think of it as a world in which you're allowed to use twisted logic based off your opponent's moves and not as often as you want. I used that myself when sealing this room, so that it was only fair to let you do the same.
You have no shame, do you?
Yay. Let's have both sides begin. Will Erica take the first move? Will she start by checking the bed? By checking to see what he's bet?
Yeah. Let's start by checking to see if Battler is on the bed. Erica, begin.
Leave it to me, my master. Light on.
With a click, the sound of the light switch rang out, and the bulb turned on, lighting up the room. On Battler's bed was...
Lenore, confirm with the red.
Yes. Ushiramiya Battler.
No, it's my move. I'll say it. Ushiramiya Battler is not on the bed.
Good. I'm glad you didn't run away from the fight. I'm impressed.
It's a high-stakes battle, so it'll cost you a lot if you're the one who loses. Are you prepared?
No one raised the stakes unless they felt confident in their advantage.
Delanor, keep a record.
As you wish.
At Delanor's nod, Cornelia, who was hanging back, started taking a record. First on that Battler's corpse, which should have been on the bed, was not. And also that Battler hadn't backed down from this closed-room game.
As previously announced, Spatler's first move is to have the corpse vanish. Now it's Erica's turn. Go ahead.
I present the possibility that Ashimia Battler is alive and hiding somewhere in this room. I proclaim this with the blue truth.
Invalid. If you want to use the blue truth, give me a specific location.
In the last game, Beato did that in Kinzo's study. And Delanor made Swiss cheese of her, right? Are you trying to take revenge for that?
Before I start searching, I have one blue truth that I can use without a search. There is a possibility of a hidden door X that is impossible to discover. He's hidden behind that, so it's impossible for me to find him.
Nox is third. It's forbidden for hidden passages to exist. Isn't that right?
No hidden places that are impossible for Erika-san to find exist inside the guest room.
Nox is third. Valid.
Good job. Start with the search.
Erica slowly began to walk around the room. Until the endgame had started, Erica had been energetic, jumping about impatiently like a hungry dog. However, now that it had actually begun, there's a stifling battle of wits, where each breath made her tense. Even the quiet sound of the rain was distracting.
Now that I've searched the room, let's confirm its layout.
Yeah. The guest room is divided into 2 rooms, the bedroom and the bathroom. Lady Erica has currently searched the entire bedroom section.
Bedroom.
There's... Oh.
It's a bathroom
section. Oh, my bad. Bedroom section. There is only one exception.
I'll leave that one place be for the time being. So were there any irregularities discovered in the bedroom?
There were none. Except for one location, there is no one to be seen in the bedroom.
What's this exception for one location business? Say it without being annoying.
There's a reason a face-down card remains face down. I'll turn it over if it's needed, so look forward to it.
After thoroughly checking the bedroom, Erica headed for the bathroom door. Since he wasn't in the bedroom, it was natural to think that he was in the bathroom. The guest room was made up of 2 rooms. If Battler wasn't in the bathroom either, it meant that he had managed to vanish from the closed room. Except for that single location that Erica had intentionally left unchecked.
I'm checking the bathroom.
Lady Erica, the sound of water can be heard from inside. Also, there is a faint heat.
Oh? Don't tell me he's taking a shower. Is it locked or something?
No, it isn't locked. Go ahead and open it.
Then if you'll allow me...
Slowly, Erica put her hand on the doorknob on the bathroom door. She tried to push it open, but felt a strange resistance. Of course, it wasn't the resistance of the lock. It felt as though it had an unnatural load on it. Out from the slightly open crack poured the hot air from the shower. However, it was unlocked, so there probably wasn't anyone taking a shower. After letting a dumbfounded expression rise to her face, Erica slammed into the door with her whole body, knocking it open.
What?
As soon as she opened the door, a hot blast poured out onto her. Erica froze, unable to understand what had happened. After falling backwards on her butt, she realized that boiling hot shower water was spewing out at her and hard.
What is this? What a crazy prank.
Cursing, Erica wrapped the blanket from the bed around herself and tried to enter the bathroom once more. This time she was able to figure out what was going on. It was quite an elaborate prank. A wire fixed the shower nozzle in place that had pointed at the entrance. The pressure and heat were turned up to the max, so that anyone who went through the door would with a wave of hot water. The pressure was very strong, which probably accounted for the weight she had felt when trying to push the door open. She tried to make the nozzle point in another direction, but not only was it fixed in place by the wire, it was fixed in place high enough that Erica couldn't reach it with her height. She tried to turn off the pressure, but it was also held in place by wires. She couldn't manage anything with her bare hands. She would have to get a tool that could cut wires. However, when she looked into the bathtub, which was overflowing with very hot water, she saw a bundle of wire and some nippers that had been used to cut them lying at the bottom. If she used that, she could turn off the pressure. Ah! Oh, damn you! The blanket she had used to protect herself from the shower was getting more and more drenched with boiling hot water. This way she'd get burns even through the blanket. She didn't turn off the water quickly. Next to the bathtub, she saw a hanging long-handled body brush. Perfect. Eric used this to skillfully scrape the nippers off the bottom of the tub. Fortunately, it was a shallow Western-style bathtub. If it had been a deep Japanese one, it'd probably have burned her badly. Making sure not to touch the hot metal parts, she carefully took the nippers and cut the wire around the faucet. Take that, and that! She finally managed to turn the hot water faucet, and the heat from the hot water storm died down. For a while, Erica was forced to cool her almost burnt arms under running water.
What a calamity.
Would you like a bath? I can wash your face with this brush.
I appreciate the sentiment, but no.
Oh, that's a shame. Erica finally regained enough of her composure to be abusive. She turned off the faucet completely, and silence returned to the bathroom. After that, all that remained was Erica's heavy breathing. She turned on the fan to get rid of the hot steam. She had to leave the bathroom until that was finished. It was pleasant, like stepping into an air-conditioned room on a hot summer's day. Now that was a ridiculous trap. However, that wasn't here at the time I examined Battler's corpse. Therefore, the appearance of this trap proves that Hiroshima Battler was alive. Well, I never thought he was dead anyway.
So he decided to openly show a card that had already been exposed.
Check the inside of the bathroom. Was Battler seen?
No. No one was seen in the bathroom.
Good. Now we've confirmed that. Except for one location, Battler does not exist anywhere inside the guest room.
Give that a rest. Just where is this one exception?
A coffin. Ishimiya Battler's coffin, that is.
Ashes to ashes, the dead to their coffins.
You plan to trap me in this room, right? Okay, let's have it! The sounds that was complete except for the rain was suddenly filled with the smell of gunpowder. That was extremely quiet, the room was filled with tension, as they would be sliced in half if you relaxed for an instant. A cloud of gold butterflies gathered on the room's round table and turned into a witch's chessboard. It was finally time for her attack.
Blue Truth, you did not vanish from this room. You set yourself to make it seem as though you disappeared from a closed room. The place you are hiding is the one exception that I haven't investigated yet. As Erica lightly raised her right hand, a single gold butterfly appeared from the darkness behind her. Lit up between the index finger and middle finger of Erica's raised hand and became a white piece. Then she lifted it high into the air. This is the one exception. The walk-in closet next to the entrance.
Bang. Like a falling white lightning bolt, the white piece hit the board, landing by a weak spot in Battler's formation.
Yes, it is here.
With a crash, the door of the closet, which was just off to the side of the guest room's entrance, was impaled by a spear that represented the Blue Truth. Eleanor had spun around and thrown it. The door was completely pierced, and the spear stuck in so deeply that if a human being had been hiding in it, it would have pierced their chest as well. Its still quivering handle was a testament to the force with which it had been thrown.
There are no places in which to hide other than this. You are now hiding in here.
What do you say, Battler-san? Have you been struck through the chest? For a literal smothered mate?
Battler-san. It's our move now.
Yeah. I thought it'd be like that, Erica. You intentionally left one spot open so you could stuff me into that coffin. It's the same move that trapped Kinzo in Natsuki's room. I saw it coming.
Oh, did you? Then let's see your response. Let me make a prediction.
Let's hear it.
I'll checkmate you 2 moves from now. That's my prediction.
Then I'll make the same prediction. I'll checkmate you in 2 moves.
Sounds interesting.
These predictions contradict each other. Who will be the liar, I wonder?
The air burst and sparked. The sounds would hurt one's skin.
Then go. It is your turn.
It's useless. Your lowly coffin won't be able to trap Battler-san.
Here's my response. Slowly, Battler moved his hand over to the chessboard. A gold butterfly that had appeared from the darkness rested on Battler's finger and became a black piece. That black piece was the king, which represented Battler. This is my response. To your Battler is hiding in the closet. Take this! Ashimi Battler does not exist within the guest room. There are no exceptions, including the closet. Like a black bolt of lightning this time. Battler slammed his piece down onto the white piece of Erica's that had cut deep behind his lines, crushing hers. It scattered like a golden spray and melted beautifully into the darkness, as a faint cloud of gold sparks drifted about.
I see. So he hid in the closet at first, and then slipped down to the room while Erica was occupied by the shower.
It's the same technique he used to let Kinzo escape from the study in the last game. Distract the observation of the observer and disappear into the darkness.
Good. Of course. Yes, of course. I had already foreseen that move.
Next was Erica's turn. A gold butterfly popped into existence in front of Erica, and she grabbed it right out of the air. She lifted that hand into the air and raised the white piece high.
Let me announce a retroactive move. This occurs back in the very beginning, right after I broke the seals and had entered the room. At the time, I immediately closed the door, reset the chain, and sealed this room.
What?
Objection! Go sever the chain back when the crime was first discovered. Since the chain lock is not functioning, it's impossible to use it to create a seal.
Object. Erica repaired the chain lock. See? Impossible. How could she have repaired a brass chain?
It was possible. Have you forgotten, Beato? The packaging tape seals. Erica used that packaging tape to join the 2 cut ends of the chain together, sealing them. In other words, the chain was repaired by the packaging tape, and this room once again became a closed room locked from the inside.
Objection! Erica-san has already used up her packing tape seals, hasn't she? she shouldn't be able to use them anymore.
Objection overruled. The use of the packaging tape wasn't limited by the number of strips, right? It was by the number of rooms. The only restriction that was that it was limited to only 3 rooms. Erica chose this guest room to be one of those rooms. So Erica has the right to seal as many places as many times as she wants within this room.
That's right. I gave her permission to do that.
This is the cost of your pride. Sympathy is the evil liquor that the proud are most fond of.
So, with this retroactive move, I proclaim that the chain lock has been repaired by the packing tape seal and regained its original functionality. Thanks to that, I locked the room upon entering it and made this guest room a closed room from the inside once more.
The white piece Erica held aloft represented the seal caused by the chain lock. This move would draw out Battler's king and drag it to the guillotine.
Die, Battler!
The piece for the chain lock was slammed down right at Battler's king's throat.
Repeat it! The lock created by this chain is currently intact!
Battler's face contorted. Beata, who was watching from behind, grimaced even more. This move was very painful. If his logic had him hiding in the closet until Erica left, using the uproar in the bathroom to escape, then the chain lock must have been undone. In other words, he couldn't respond to her demand. If he didn't respond, Erica would use the blue truth in her next move.
Probably say, you hid in the closet and used the disturbance in the bathroom to escape. See, then you couldn't set the chain lock from the outside. You left it undone.
And she would be right. This was checkmate. As Erica predicted, she would strike the finishing blow on the second move. And on top of that, she would probably use the disappearing Battler to solve most of the crimes that were to follow. Losing the battle in this closed room would steal a major deciding piece from Battler. But what if he responded to her demand? What if he could say the lock created by the chain is still intact? That would be fatal to Erica. It had already been shown with the red truth that this guest room could only be made into a closed room from the inside. So this hopeless closed room would instead become Erica's coffin. With a riddle of this magnitude, Erica probably wouldn't solve the mystery of Battler's disappearance before the end. Each unsolved riddle gives an advantage to the witch side. Battler wanted to respond to this demand if at all possible. However, if he answered by saying that the chain was still set, he would have to abandon the logic saying that he had escaped while Erica wasn't looking. Once he escaped, he'd be able to set the chain lock again. Make a riddle to corner Erica, but you have to construct a different escape method. Even a move such as him leaving the closet during the scene in the bathroom and hiding another place, say under the bed, wouldn't work because he had proclaimed that Battler does not exist within the guest room. If he could construct a logic that allowed him to escape from here while preserving the chain lock's position, then Erica would be the one facing a fatal blow. However, if he didn't have that logic, if he failed, it'd be a logic error. The worst and lowest forbidden move that would instantly end the game in his defeat. He'd have no way to recover. For Battler, deciding how to respond to this demand was a very advanced and difficult decision. Either way, Erica would probably corner him. In that case, my choice is obvious.
Battler-san. This guest room has already been restricted in many ways by the red truth due to its closed room nature. How do you plan on escaping from this?
If only I could do something about that chain lock. If only. If he could somehow get around the chain lock, he could force Erica to deal with a terrible closed room. Probably end up as a finishing blow to her. But in order to do that, he would need to make a trick for escaping. the closed room that existed before Erica came back. Which was now the closed room sealed by the chain that Erica set right after entering the room. And on top of that, he had to make sure that the chain that could only be set from the inside remained in place. If he could do that, if he could find a way, then it would end here. But I still can't think of that trick. Right now, Erica's demanding to know whether the chain lock is still set or not. I need to decide whether I'll take that challenge or back down. I need to do it right now. If I could first find a certain wind trick, then this is the end. But if I don't have that trick, I should acknowledge that I slipped out of the closet and undid the chain and escaped, backing out of the fight. If I said the chain was without a trick up my sleeve, then it's impossible for me to escape. In other words, it's logic error.
Even if we lose the fight in this room, there will still be chances left to us. We've still only started the second day, haven't we? We have plenty of time to reconstruct an impossible murder.
No, that's no good. If I acknowledge that I've escaped from this room now, then I'm acknowledging that I'm the culprit. If I back down from this fight, in this room, it's the same as accepting my defeat in this game. Badler's point was a valid one, as all the other humans were still locked in the guest house. And if Badler alone was alive and free to move, Erica would probably base her explanation for all the following impossible crimes on the blue truth that Badler was the perpetrator. If they wanted to forcefully turn that around, they'd have to rewrite their tricks and logics so that someone other than Badler would be set up as the perpetrator. If they fixed up one flaw, it would give rise to new flaws, which might eventually pile up and kill Badler. Even running away would mean tightening the noose around his own throat. The first truth, that Badler is the culprit, has already been hit upon. And yet I have to struggle desperately to get out of this. I need to! I'm on the edge. I've definitely been cornered in a dangerous spot. However, if I can just change my position, everything might turn around at once. I can just make this chain my weapon. I can kill Erica!
Wait, are you actually going to respond to her demand? Is there any way to escape without undoing the chain lock? There isn't! If you respond, you'll lose instantly from the logic error at the end. It's clear which choice we ought to make.
Yeah, it's clear. No matter what move we choose, it'll turn for the worse just as Erica wants. It's horrible either way. We have to choose the move that has the biggest reward if we win.
You're gonna call even though you have no logic for escaping and no trump cards? You think you can accept her demand and win?
My cards might be useless. However, with just one more card, it might become a straight, a flush, or even a royal flush. If hell waits for me after both options, I'll take the one that'll finish her off if I win.
That's an insane move. Sometimes madmen leap into the path of death. And so miracles occur.
It's impossible! How could you escape this closed room without removing the chain?
And there's only one difference between heroes and madmen. It's whether they win or lose. I'll be looking forward to your big victory.
If I can finish things with this move, then as I predicted, I can kill Erica on my second move. I still can't think of a trick for escaping this closed room. However, there has to be something. There has to. Once I think of that, I can make a magic illusion of me changing into a butterfly and slipping out of the crack in the door like smoke. I have even a drop of that mad magician's blood in my veins. Please let that honor. Give me just a fragment of that miracle right now!
So, Battler-san, let's have that second move that you predict you'd checkmate me on.
Please give an answer to Lady Erica's demand. Will you respond, or will you refuse?
Slowly, Battler's hand stretched out to his king piece on the board. He lifted it up and slowly held it aloft, tracing a large circle in the sky. Would Battler respond, or wouldn't he? Would the lock caused by the chain be preserved, or wouldn't it? Would Battler's king crush the piece of the chain lock that stood right in front of it, or would it slip away like a ghost and escape? This is my response. As predicted, on this second turn of mine, you're through. Here it comes! Burudo! Erika! Ah! Battler's king had become a black lightning bolt that crashed down onto the board. Where had it gone? On top of the piece of the chain lock, or past that piece? I will repeat it. The lock caused by the chain is intact. Battler's king had left the chain lock piece in its place, and had slipped past it.
Yeah, it sure would be cool if you could say that the chain lock was still set, wouldn't it? Do you think that'd be cool? But do you know what they call a fool? Who's full of himself and jumps into the path of death just because it's cool?
No clue.
Shoot me a battler. That's what we call them. I file a motion for a logic error. That red truth of yours just now has cut off your own logic. Please have the impartial referee make her judgment immediately. Great Lady Lambda Delta!
Motion received. Lambda Delta. Does this make logical sense? Your inspection, please.
Motion received. Battler. Show me. Let me see your cards.
Battler. Son.
It is a royal flush, right? If you've got nothing, you won't get out of this with just a sorry, okay?
Yeah. I have no intention of apologizing.
If it's a logic error, the game board will be blown away. You've inherited this You've inherited this game board from Beato. It's the one thing you have left of that precious Beato. So, you must not allow for a logic error.
A logic error only becomes established when the witch admits to it. As long as they can keep thinking of new logic to escape with, they will not die. Cannot die. However, that would be like living in an endless living hell of the mind.
Even if you manage to crawl around forever after falling into the darkness of thought, you'll just be internally trapped in a hell where you'll constantly think of ways to escape that closed room, while refusing to accept your logic error. Are you sure? Are you sure? This is nearly as bad as the depths of oblivion, got it? It's like the difference between falling from the roof of a 10-story building and falling off the roof of a 100-story building.
Lambda. Battler has already finished making his move. Players can't take back a move once it's made. Act as an impartial judge. Carry out our motion. And see whether or not Battler's escape from the closed room is logical, and whether there has been a logic error or not. Be slow, accurate, and meticulous, like an archaeologist. And be as fast as a guy in an ice cream shop when he forcefully and skillfully scoops out that sweet, fragrant vanilla soy sauce ice cream.
Yes, I know that. Battler, let me see it.
Battler's son.
Beata, do you think I'll lose?
I don't want to think that. after fighting with the old me many times. You finally reached the miracle that I so wanted you to find. So, I'd like to believe you will win through a miracle once again.
That this woman called Beatrice. The whole time. She found the same border between reason and madness. She was a mixture of sadness, anger, and several other emotions for me that can't be described with words. And in the very last game, the very last moment, she managed to seize victory. Might have been the purpose for the card Beato had been gripping. That might have been the purpose of the card Beato had been gripping as she fell. Beato passed away without realizing that she had won. In the final game, the true victor was Beato. That Beato entrusted me with this game board. So, I'll win. I need at least you to believe in me. Beatrice!
If I believe, and a miracle occurs,
please.
I do believe in you. Son.
This is pissing me off! Please check it already, Lady Lambda Delta. There is no valid logic. Doesn't exist any way to get out of this closed room. You were overeager, Battler-san. If you could win with this, that'd be cool. You just managed to even through this chain of mine, even though the chain is still set. That'd make you so awesome, so cool, so mysterious. Hold me. Like hell you can. Like hell you can do it. If you could do that, you really would be a witch. If you could vanish your way out of this closed room like a puff of smoke, I'd have to acknowledge it. It'd be the work of a witch.
Quiet, Lady Erica. Lady Lambda Delta is conducting her inspection. Pass through one move. Go back. And corner.
With sweat gathering on her forehead, Lambda had expected the movements of the pieces from Battler's side. She was as accurate and meticulous as an archaeologist, just as Burncastle had told her to be. After gulping stiffly, Lambda looked several times between the formation on the pieces on the board and Battler's face, which remained tense but steady.
Lambda.
I have finished my inspection.
There's no way the logic works.
Please. God.
Erica.
What?
I'm so sorry.
What chance would to take that?
It was fun. Now, this is the end.
I told you! Which way am I supposed to take that?
Silence. I finished inspecting Battler's move. My decision is that it's valid.
Okay, so hold on a second. We're having a little bit of a debate right now in the console room. Oh, shit.
What happened?
I have to say, just from my opinion, that I would like to be fully awake for this, and I am getting a little sleepy. But if everyone else wants to keep going, absolutely.
Okay. Alrighty then. So, as far as you guys are going to be aware, Battler's Truth is valid. We will be ending it right here.
All right then.
Wow.
I will say I am kind of glad we're ending it here because I am a bit exhausted from work.
Okay.
Oh my
Damn,
god.
that's a weirdly dramatic one episode clothes room misery.
Dude, I am sweating bullets right now. Literally, I'm sweating bullets.
Mm-hmm.
Literally? That must hurt.
Do you got metal in your aqueducts? In your tear ducts? In your metal ducts?
Okay, no, not literally, not literally. I'm just seriously sweating a whole bunch right now from how tense
Oh yeah,
this
I'm
is.
sweating too. Are you kidding me? Like, holy shit.
Holy fuck.
You guys did great, though.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh
Are
my
we
god.
Are we planning to have a discussion tonight, or?
So
think
my personal 2 cents on that is we haven't exactly finished the chapter.
Yeah.
So I think I don't want to like have quote unquote half baked ideas about what's gonna happen next. So we're gonna.
I mean, I can give some thoughts about like something I had, like that's not in reference to what's going to happen in the chapter, but just the overall story potentially.
I
I
had
think
some ideas. Yeah.
I think it would be. I think it would be nice if we let those people share, because there's specifically there's a few people who have stated they had theories about the entirety of the story, I believe. So I would say we should probably like let that, but any discussion involving the chapter and what we just did, we'd be safe until we actually finish the chapter. How about that?
I'll agree to that.
Yeah. So like.
Now you mentioned
Immediate discussion about what's like kind of happening right now. Go ahead.
All right, man. I wish I could like have been like as sweaty as you, but like, man, I was just exhausted, and just as they were talking, I only got so much.
Oh yeah, like.
Unfortunately, I was sort of the same.
I mean, like, what is it? When I'm tired from work too, I have like a wicked like pain on like the upper hand side of my fucking mouth because yeah, dentist shit. Like that shit still fucking hurts. It's been a fucking week. Oh my god.
I'll say there is like a minor problem with like the way of consuming Umineko this way, just as a me thing, is like I am sometimes like sprinting to just get to these sessions. So it's definitely not the most optimal way, but it's still fun. I'm still enjoying these.
Meanwhile, I'm just over here. Meanwhile, I'm just over here busting a mental nut, dude.
Wow, that is a phrase.
Intellectual sexist?
You have a mental.
No,
See, whenever unlike Erica, Kaneko's intellectualism is consensual.
Yes, very much so.
Alright, should I go over my thought?
Sure.
Go.
Alright, I only really have one thought. This was whenever like the term logic error first got brought up. I mentioned this stuff feels like foreshadowing. Well, it became kind of the entire thing, but I'm very curious if logic errors will be a consistent part with the chapters later on, and if maybe that will be somehow they get out of the game through a logic error. I doubt that, but it's a thought.
Oh, sorry.
That is my thought.
I don't think so, because what I'm thinking is that this chapter is the last like free chapter. Once you start going into like chapter 7 and chapter 8, you usually hit the end game. So I'm thinking that chapter 7 is just gonna reveal the real killer. And then chapter 8 is gonna be how to defeat them.
Or you mean the inclusion of that?
What?
Don't
What'd
worry
you
about
say?
it.
Oh.
I think you said the occlusion of that?
Conclusion, I think.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, any other?
So, can I have a little thing that I might have maybe a concept of a theory?
Alright.
Is this like that like big like overarching theory that you kind of have in mind for the story?
Yes.
Should we? I feel like that's maybe.
If you don't want to,
I would say
Wait,
yes.
hold.
Yeah, I
Hold
feel
on,
like
wait.
sharing. Like, I also had like a big.
Well, no. Okay, so
solve the mystery theory too, but I wasn't sure if we should share those until the end.
It sounded like there's more nuances. The big people go.
Well, okay, so no, it's not like there's not that much like big nuance to this, other than like I think this is maybe like a weird time to kind of slide this in story point wise. I feel like if we were gonna have like a big dick swinging like an end game theory proposed, it might be like near like the end of the chapter. I don't know. We're currently no. Wait, hold on a second. We're kind of conversing about this in the chat as this is happening. So,
Big dick people don't know if we can helicopter yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Also, this is kind of for like length purposes because I was kind of hoping to maybe keep this discussion thing a little bit shorter than normal. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, hold on a second.
Later if you need to.
Oh well, just hold on a second. Does anybody have any like smaller things they want to bring up beforehand?
No, not really. I'm saving everything until next time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Erica just got pranked.
I started reading the manga to review stuff, and Badler's face is very angular.
Oh yeah.
He is a very pointy man,
I wonder how
especially
many
in the
artists-
earlier half.
He's got that clamp vibe.
Did they have on that?
Oh, a couple different artists.
I actually did have a question
Mm-hmm.
about Erica's use of the packing seal tape. Why is she able to seal off rooms? And why, like, if
That is the
Battler wasn't able to
specific
do that,
privilege of the tape.
Yeah.
she just gets a handicap.
Morinda says, "Oh, go ahead."
So in terms of the packing tape stuff, they went over this a little bit, and the whole like big thing where she was kind of putting on a show so that way she could get some extra tape from Battler. Yeah, basically just red packing tape being able to seal a room is the equivalent of like the Red Truth saying that nobody went in or out of that particular room. So it's incredibly potent. And Battler kind of like in episode 5, Erica's basically able to use it well because she had like there was a lot of really good packing tape, but Battler kind of removed that for this particular one, and then she kind of gave him some as a Battler kind of gave her some as a token of goodwill because she didn't take the detective's authority in this particular game, so she's not technically the detective. So he's like, you know what, fine, sure, I'll be nice and I'll give you some.
She's still a bitch.
What's the difference between just saying in red there was nobody in that room and using the special magical sealing tape?
Well, so the tape isn't necessarily magical, but it's what it proves by there being a seal. If you put a piece of let's say you keep you keep a piece of packing tape on the door that you cannot like remove easily, like it's stuck there, it's hard to get off. That and let's say that the door opens and that seal comes off. That is like undeniable proof that somebody left the room.
It is giving the Red Truth to the power of the human side.
Yeah, it is effectively
it's like the spy trick. You put a hair in the door. If you don't see the hair, that means someone's been there.
Or like if you
Kinda
put
like how-
or like if you
kinda
put
like
a sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Kind of like how Light Yagami used the pencil lead in one of the episodes early on of Death Note to prove that someone was
Yeah, I was
searching his
thinking
room.
of that.
It forces a Red Truth as opposed to giving the option of somebody going in.
But how does that help her? Why wouldn't she just have to say another Red Truth?
It can narrow down the options.
Yep.
But aren't Red Truths basically infinite? You could say as many as you want, but
they have to make sense.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get a logic error.
Which is what could possibly be happening now.
I thought the logic error was on the witch's side, not the humans trying to defeat the witch's side. They're for both sides?
I think you might be misunderstanding the situation.
I thought the logic error was, okay, you've just proven something that's literally impossible.
Okay, wait, here's the idea.
Yeah.
Here's the idea. Erica wanted to make sure nobody could get into room X, so she puts shit on it, puts the tape on it, and so now nobody can get in there. Or wait, or it can't wait. is it nobody can get in there, or somebody can get in there, but it proves that somebody was in there? What's the deal with it?
Well, I think the idea is someone could get in, but then you break the
right
seal. But also, I mean, I guess that's like one other question in the idea that Erica, despite being like part of like the magic-y stuff, is also just a player in the story that Byrne inserted starting in chapter 5. Like, she gets to be part of the story, even if she's not. She's like, you know what I mean? Like, it almost felt like, yeah, you could just do this when you're not like. Sorry, does this make any sense?
Yeah, I'm also going to explain the tape in another way. It allows her to place walls in the maze.
Okay.
If that makes
I mean, I think it's similar to how Angie got inserted into the game in earlier chapters.
And just to circle back to it, I know the Featherin literally explained this session, but like the logic error is when the witch makes a mistake where humans could have solved it, and then that's game over, right?
The logic error is when the thing just doesn't make sense.
It breaks the rules of the universe.
Kind of like a plot hole in a big story.
Everything needs to be able to be made sense without magic.
Yes.
And so, like, the idea is the only way that blank can happen is if there is magic. Like, that's just the only way, and that breaks the rules of the world.
And that's why the red truths are so necessary, because you could just say, it does make sense, you just don't understand how it makes sense. But then with red truths, you can be like, no, this literally doesn't make any sense.
The red truth denotes a thing that, like, yes, that has to make sense. All red truths must make sense.
If the truth is not the truth, then everything is broken.
Yep.
Lies
What?
upon lies. Nothing is true when there's nothing is there.
The red truth is the completely proven truth, and if what is proven is not proven, then therefore nothing truly exists.
Right, and then that essentially kills the universe.
Or destroys the game board in this case.
Yeah.
It destroys the logic of life itself.
Yeah.
Also, just
like I've been said.
I just want
or reality itself, that is.
Morinda mentioned, be careful with the manga. Apparently there is a lot of small but extremely significant changes between them. Between the manga and the VN.
But like,
I was told the manga was
that in the absence of red truth, that means that people are free to lie.
Sorry, what were you gonna say, Sim, real quick?
I was gonna say, I thought somebody told me the manga was a decent way to review. As much as I love these sessions, going through a visual novel over the course of a year, details start to flip.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that there is some visual cues you might pick up on that might give extra information. That is going to be a guess.
Not in particularly. Well, there might be like a few things, but not super big. Also, it's more so like some details from the manga have been taken out because, Ryukishi be wordy. But overall, I think it's fine. Like if you're just using it for review.
And alright, so just the last thing I had a question. So if in the absence of red truth, that implies that the game master is allowed to just bullshit his way through it. And that's why the, detective or battler back in the day was asking them to repeat shit in red text.
The game master can make up anything as long as it makes sense, I assume.
As long as it follows logic, it is sensible. It has been made very clear that Beato was just a very permissive game master and very indulgent to battlers' questions.
The game master cannot instantly say everything is lava.
But what it was saying is that you could, like, if the game master was a witch, they could use their, like, warped perceptions to like mess that up then, right? But why does that not work? Like a witch can say marshmallow candy appears out of nowhere. Just because they're a witch, they can do that. So if they're a game master, how does that not make anything possible?
Because it needs to make sense to it. Like I am assuming that as long as that, like the magic stuff, but like the actual legitimate magic stuff we're seeing, is probably just stuff that can be disproven as lies. Like that is flavor. That is to make things more exciting. That is the fan fiction writers adding extra shit to make it more interesting.
Hey.
Well, I didn't insult it. I said it makes it more interesting.
I know. That's why you're right.
Oh, I thought you were denying something.
Don't, yeah, and yeah, like that was my main overarching theory on this whole thing, is that all the magic is like misdirection from the serial killer. That's all it is. It's just like fun circuses, but
smoke and mirrors.
Cut through everything. That's what's left.
By the way, did you guys in the Fight Club? Did you guys decide on your thing?
We have decided.
We've been having a tournament arc. No.
We have decided. We believe that it is best for anybody, regardless of the contents of the theories. Because I know a couple of you apparently have like big dick swinging theories. I know a fucking thing about it. I don't read Umi notes that much. Dick, yeah, like you just hang it all out. You let it out there like. Bleh. Anyways.
You.
John, here's a secret about men. Sometimes, as a hobby, we just swing our dicks around.
Con, you talked about the mental.
Okay.
He's violated the bro code.
I disavow this.
All right, never mind. Okay, we aren't using this metaphor anymore. Anyways, more to the point. I'm
sorry.
I mean, this is also coming from the personal perspective. I'm actually kind of tired. Like I said, I have that fucking headache from the goddamn teeth bullshit. So we're gonna hold off on doing like the big swinging theories now. Definitely not this stream is like the popular consensus. Possibly either before or after. I think episode 7 is the current play. But we might. We'll think about it a little bit more. We might be able to do it next stream. We're just. This is a very nuanced discussion we're currently having, and right now is probably not the best decision.
As someone who doesn't have any say in the matter, I kind of want, what I want us people who haven't read it to do is, if we have overarching endgame theories, is to do what I did, essentially write it down, seal it, send it to someone who knows, and then just leave it until the end and find out who's right.
I actually did kind of think of that, but then I thought I don't care enough.
Oh, this is
something I think it would be cool though, is if the Inner Circle guys actually did kind of take into account theories we got right.
Oh, I've been grading you.
Oh yeah, don't worry. Like we have mental notes for pretty much everybody.
So
has there any been from stuff that we've seen? Like, has there been something like a holy shit, they figured that out super early kind of thing?
All I will say is that
confirm nor deny.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I said stuff we've already seen, not stuff we haven't seen.
Look, we're going to hold off basically any like major grades of. Hold on a second.
Like, I would say we will know when we get there. Like I don't want them to tell me to tell us shit.
But yeah, what I wanted to say was we're going to basically be holding off pretty much any like major kudos, gold stars, whatever you want to call it, at pretty much that we're gonna have like, so before we do Umineko Saku, which is like a kind of like a bonus story, which kind of relies on you knowing some things. We're gonna do kind of like a big overarching stream where we kind of just talk about what's like basically the truth and things that people have kind of went over time. And I think that's probably gonna be the point where we're like, hey, maybe you figured some shit out, good for you, etc., etc. Because I think that'd be a much more like interesting column and time frame to kind of do it.
That certainly does seem cool.
But yeah. So I think we're just gonna go ahead and call it here.
I'm cool with that.
Yep, okay. Thank you all very much for showing up. Various, what is it, subscribes, numbers, bits, subscribe on my YouTube.
Don't hurt yourself.
Follow.
That Catboy meter is never going up. That thing is broke.
Yeah, that shit's kind of broken. I have to keep fucking reset it, and every time I do reset it, we get another follower, so I mean, I don't know, maybe I should reset it, fuck me. But also, 69 is a very funny place to end it off on. Oh, I forgot we have the fucking hold-up screens. I need to keep using those. Anyways, that's enough for right now. Yeah, read Beaglesaurus. Arrivederci.
LaRouche isn't here to say no.
Valid.
Bye bye.